There's a design trend that's predicted to explode in 2025, and while you may have already started seeing it, you're about to see it everywhere. That trend is cherries, and while these have been synonymous with the coquette trend, cherries are breaking out into a category of their own. According to this Pinterest Predicts article, cherries are going to dominate in 2025. They call it cherry coated, and here's what the report had to say. Dark, sweet, and such a vibe. Gen Z and millennials will infuse cherries into their makeup, menus, and mood boards this year. One thing's for sure, Tarte will have your heart in 2025. Here I can also see some of the trending search terms like cherry vibe up 325% and dark cherry red up 235%. When I searched cherry vibe in Pinterest, this is what came up. Obviously, it's a lot of cherries, but notice that there's also a lot of darker, deeper red colors and a lot less of the kind of coquette, pinky, hyper feminine aesthetic. So now that you know what this cherry coated aesthetic is, let's take a look at the product research, and then I'm going to walk you through a full tutorial on how to capitalize on this trend. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Adrian. I post videos on how to build profitable businesses with Shopify and print on demand. My goal is to create the most positive and supportive community of print on demand sellers here on YouTube. So if that's you, join us by subscribing and interacting in the comments. There is no gatekeeping here, and you always have a seat at this table. So the first thing I did was I hopped into Etsy just to conduct some product research. And here you can see that there are currently 1,700 monthly searches for the term cherry just on Etsy, signaling pretty strong demand, and which I expect to continue trending upward throughout the year. I went ahead and ran that search, and now what I want to do is filter by bestseller. Etsy no longer shows the bestseller filter, but there's a workaround which I'm going to show you. All you need to do is go to filters, select physical items, just so we only see the physical products. Click star seller, and then you're going to go ahead and run that search. And then all you have to do is up here in the URL, just change the word star to best, run that search, and now we have the bestseller filter. Here we can see a number of popular cherry inspired designs. We have hoodies, we have sweatshirts, we have t-shirts, we have jewelry, we have hats, we have wall art. There are a number of product categories that could be and very likely are printed on demand. I'm curious to see what some of the apparel items will look like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run a search for cherry shirt. And here we can see some of the best selling cherry inspired apparel. Let's go ahead and check out this white cherry hoodie. It has the bestseller badge. I can see here that it's in 20 carts, and let's go ahead and look at the reviews. I always like to sort by most recent because if they have a lot of recent reviews, that is evidence, that is validation that they're making a lot of sales. Keep in mind too, that most people don't leave reviews. So if they have a lot of recent reviews, they're actually making a whole lot more sales than that. I've sorted by most recent, and I can see that there are quite a few recent reviews, which is evidence that this hoodie is selling well. Next, let's go ahead and analyze the listing using Everbee. And here I can see that the estimated monthly revenue is $3,300, and this listing is only 4 months old. So now that we've seen some of the popular and best-selling cherry-inspired apparel, and we've seen some sales validation, let's create a shirt together for this trend. The first thing I'm gonna do is hop into Printify and select a product to put our design on. I'm just gonna tap catalog in the left-hand menu. I'm gonna go to sweatshirts, and I'm gonna select the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt, which is a fan favorite and the best selling sweatshirt in Printify. And the reason why I'm going here first is because I want to grab the print area size dimensions that they recommend. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna select a production partner, and then on the left-hand side, you'll see print area size 4,200 by 4,800. So we're gonna take these print area size dimensions and we're gonna use them in Kittle. It's always a good idea before you create a product to go and look at the print area size dimensions because they can really vary based on the different products and styles. And by knowing these, it allows you to create the perfect size design for a particular product. Next, I'm going to hop into Kittle to create the design. I've selected the templates option on the left, and I'm just going to go ahead and select hoodies and sweatshirt design templates. From the search templates box in the top, I'm going to go ahead and search for cherry. This is going to pull up a bunch of different pre-made templates that I can use to create my own original design. There's a number of different options here, but I think I'm just going to go with this first one here. I really like this template. It definitely has those coquette vibes, but I'm actually going to make some elements of the design a little darker and more of that deep red cherry color. Just before I do that, I want to change the artboard size so that it's the exact exact dimensions that Printify recommended for the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt. All you need to do is tap the file name in the top left here. And from here, you can go ahead and change these dimensions. I'm just going to change this to 4,200 by 4,800. And here you can see that the design is very small on this artboard. Not a problem. All you need to do is grab the design and then you can just stretch it to take up more of the artboard. Next, let's go ahead and make this design original. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff, and I'm also going to change what it says here. So let's change this text at the top. I'm going to change the text at the bottom. I'm just going to stretch it out because I want the text to really line up from top to bottom. And then let's go ahead and change out what this says. All right, let's go ahead and stretch this text here. I'm just going to grab the corner and I'm just going to stretch it until it lines up with the top text. Next, let's go ahead and change some of these colors. I want kind of like the deeper, darker red color. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to change the color here. I'm just going to drag this over into sort of darker territory. Now, one thing I like about this is now that I've selected that color, it's going to come up every time I change the color of any element. So I want to change the color of all the text and all these little design elements. So I'm just going to go ahead and in the bottom, I can now see that sort of dark red color. So let's just go ahead and let's just change the color of all these different elements here. So let's change this one, and then I'm also going to change the bottom text. So let's go ahead and select that. And we're also going to change that so that that color syncs up across the board. You might not see this, but there is actually a gradient on this design. So if you look really closely, you'll see all these little dots. And if you want to remove the gradient, all you need to do is tap the file name here. And then over on the right side where you see texture, just tap this little remove texture option and that'll disappear. Lastly, I'm just gonna stretch this design so that it takes up more of the canvas. I really like to maximize the canvas size, and you can always adjust this down inside of Printify. But I would rather overshoot on the quality than have a really small design on a big artboard and risk it being blurry or pixelated. When you're done creating your design, just tap the export button in the top right here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna change that DPI to 300. Make sure that these are the correct print area size dimensions, which they are for the Gildan 18,000. And then we're just gonna make sure that the background is removed and then go ahead and tap export. And while I'm just creating a simple design as an example here, I encourage you to blend this trend with your specific niche. Back in the Printify editor, you can decide which colored sweatshirts you wanna put this design on. For this particular design, I think it could look good on a lot of lighter colored sweatshirts. Aside from white, I think ash could look really good. I think that the sand color could look really good, which is also just really trendy across the board right now. And then I also do think that this would look really good on the light pink. It's totally up to you how many colors you want to put this design on. I personally never like to offer a whole lot of colors for a design because I don't want my customers to get decision fatigue, which is where there's so many options that they actually can't make up their mind and they end up not buying anything at all. So usually I would only offer between 1 to 3 colors for any new product, and only if it makes sales, then I would consider expanding that out to other colors. So let's just stick with those color variants there. And next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag the design onto the mockup, and from here, you can adjust the size or placement. I'm just gonna see what it looks like, adjust it down a bit, and I'm gonna put the design pretty high up because it is quite tall, and it'll still take up a lot of the canvas vertically. Let's go ahead and tap the preview button in the top right to see a more realistic view of what this would look like. Here we can see what the sweatshirt looks like on a blank product, and then here we can also see what this would look like on a human. If you think it looks too big or too small, you can always just tap edit again, and then from here you can adjust it further. I actually thought the sizing was fine, but I just made it a little bit smaller, so let's go ahead and tap that preview. Let's see what it looks like. I'm totally happy with that. If you're happy with how it looks, go ahead and tap that save product button in the bottom right, and this is going to take you to the mockup library where you can select from mockups provided by Printify, or you can upload your own. Here you can go through all the different colors and see how they look. And then if you want to add or take away any of those mockups, just over on the right side, you'll see it says selected mockups. And here you can go through and add or remove any mockups. Once you are happy with your mockup selection, you can just go ahead and tap the save selection button in the bottom right. Lastly, you'll be taken to the product details page. From here, you're going to want to complete all the product details, and then you're just going to tap the publish button in the bottom right, and that'll have Printify automatically publish this to your Shopify store or whichever platform you're selling on. All right, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what you think of the cherry aesthetic and whether this is a design style that you're going to be trying in your print-on-demand store this year. Also, I've created a bunch of free resources which you can find below, including my free 60-minute on-demand training where I reveal the exact strategy that I use to generate multiple millions in revenue across 2 apparel brands with Shopify and print on demand.